Ambassador Hai did not sleep well that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the faces of the prisoners. Not defeated warriors, but healthy, content individuals. Some even looked happy. The word felt wrong in her mind, but she could not deny what she saw. The next morning, she found a covered bowl sitting outside her quarters on the ship. A note in Velcrin script was attached. For the ambassador. From a grateful student of human cooking. Hai stared at the bowl suspiciously. She should throw it away immediately. It was probably another attempt at manipulation. But her hand reached out on its own, lifting the lid. The smell hit her immediately. It was familiar. She recognized the base ingredients as traditional Velcrin ceremonial soup, something she had eaten at formal functions her entire life. But it smelled different, better, richer, more complex. She told herself she would just look at it, just examine it to understand what the humans were doing. She definitely would not taste it. 5 minutes later, she was holding a spoonful near her mouth. Her hands trembled slightly. This was foolish. She was a diplomat, an ambassador. She had discipline. She had control. The spoon touched her lips. The soup entered her mouth. And Ambassador Hai's entire world shifted. It was her culture's traditional soup, but transformed. She could taste every ingredient clearly, the proteins, the herbs, the broths. But there were new flavors too. Salt that enhanced everything, spices that added warmth and depth. The temperature was perfect, hot enough to be comforting but not burning. She took another spoonful. Then another. Before she realized it, the bowl was empty. She sat there in shock, the spoon still in her hand. For the first time in her life, Ambassador Hai understood what the prisoners were feeling. This was not weakness. This was not corruption. This was simply experiencing something beautiful that had been denied to her entire species for thousands of years. She stood up quickly, her mind racing. She needed to speak with someone. Someone who would understand. Against all her training and instincts, she found herself walking toward the camp, toward the kitchen where she had seen the alien called Seok working. Seok was preparing breakfast when the guards brought Ambassador Hai to him. He bowed respectfully, though his status as a private meant little now. "You made the soup," Hai said. It was not a question. "Yes, Ambassador. I hope it was acceptable." It was. She struggled for words. It was familiar and new at the same time. "How did you do that?" "I used our traditional ingredients and methods, but I added human techniques. Proper seasoning, controlled heat, attention to timing. The ingredients were always good. We just never knew how to prepare them properly." Hai looked around the kitchen. It was clean and organized. Human staff worked alongside Velcrin prisoners who wore aprons and moved with purpose. Everyone seemed focused, content. "Why do you do this?" she asked Seok. "You were a soldier. Why spend your time cooking?" "Because cooking makes people happy. When someone eats my food and smiles, I feel purpose. In the Empire, I was just another soldier. I had no value beyond my ability to fight. Here I create something meaningful every day. And this is worth exile? Worth never seeing your home again?" Seok was quiet for a moment. "Ambassador, in the Empire I existed. Here I live. There is a difference." Hai left the kitchen with her thoughts spinning. She walked through the camp, really observing this time instead of just judging. She saw prisoners teaching each other human card games. She saw them reading Earth books translated into their language. She saw them laughing at jokes she did not understand. They did not look defeated. They looked alive. She found High Commander Wu sitting in the shade, drinking something cold from a glass. He gestured for her to sit. "You tried the food," he observed. "How did you know?" "I can see it in your face." The confusion. The realization. "I had the same look weeks ago." "This is dangerous, Commander. If our people learn about this, if they experience what I experienced, they will want it," Wu finished. "Yes, that is exactly what will happen. The Empire will collapse. Our whole society is built on discipline and order. If people start seeking pleasure, seeking happiness, everything falls apart." Wu shook his head slowly. "Or everything gets better. Have you considered that?" "What do you mean?" "The Empire has depression rates of 70%. Suicide is common. Most citizens report feeling empty, purposeless. We blame it on individual weakness. But what if the problem is not the people? What if the problem is the system? What if we have built a civilization that makes people miserable on purpose? That is treason, is it? Or is it truth?" Wu leaned forward. "I have had time to think here. Time to question things I never questioned before. The Empire teaches that happiness is weakness, but why? Who benefits from keeping billions of people unhappy? The leaders. The powerful. Because unhappy people do not rebel. They are too tired, too broken. They just obey. Hai wanted to argue, but she could not find the words. Everything Wu said made terrible sense. What should I do? She asked quietly. Tell the truth. Tell the High Council what you have seen. Let them make the decision. But Ambassador, the truth is that these prisoners do not want to leave, and forcing them to return would be cruel. That afternoon, Hai requested an emergency communication with the Velkrin High Council. The transmission was set up in a secure room at the camp. Commander Tay and Dr. Yun were present as witnesses. The faces of the 5 council members appeared on the screen. They looked stern and impatient. Ambassador Hai, the lead counselor, said. Report. Hai took a breath. Counselors, the situation is more complex than we thought. The prisoners are healthy and well treated. However, approximately 5,000 have requested to stay on Earth rather than return home. 5,000. The counselor looked shocked. This is unacceptable. What have the humans done to them? They have fed them, counselor, but not nutritional paste. They have given them food with flavor, food that brings pleasure, and once experienced, our people do not want to return to paste. This is the corruption we feared. Order them to come home immediately. With respect, counselor, I do not think they will obey. I have spoken with many prisoners. They are not being forced to stay. They are choosing to stay, and I believe I understand why. She paused, gathering courage. I tried the human food myself. Traditional Velkrin soup, but prepared using human cooking methods. It was extraordinary. It made me realize something important. We have been eating incorrectly our entire history. Our food could taste good. Eating could bring joy. We simply never developed the knowledge to do it properly. The council members looked at each other. You ate their food? Yes. And I believe if the Empire wants these soldiers back, we need to understand what we are asking them to give up. It is not addiction. It is not weakness. It is the simple pleasure of enjoying a meal. Something that should be everyone's right. The lead counselor's expression hardened. You have also been corrupted. No, counselor. I have been educated, and I believe the Empire must change. If we do not, we will lose more than these 5,000 soldiers. We will lose the next generation. Because once word spreads about what life could be like, our young people will leave. They will seek out human worlds. They will abandon us. What are you proposing? Hai looked at Commander Tay, who gave her an encouraging nod. She had discussed this with him earlier. I propose a cultural exchange, she said. Let the prisoners who wish to stay remain on Earth. In return, we send Velkrin citizens to Earth to learn about food culture. We invite human chefs to our home world to teach us their methods. We do not fight this change. We embrace it. This is madness. This is evolution, counselor. Species adapt or die. The Velkrin Empire can adapt to include joy in our lives. Or we can remain rigid and watch our people leave us for civilizations that offer happiness. The counselors talked among themselves. Their audio muted. Hai waited, her heart beating fast. She was risking everything. Her career, her reputation, possibly her freedom. But she thought of that soup. She thought of Seok's face when he talked about cooking. She thought of all the prisoners who smiled now. Finally, the lead counselor returned. This decision is too large for us to make immediately. We will discuss it with the full government. But, Ambassador Hai, you will return home immediately to explain yourself in person. Understood, counselor. The transmission ended. Hai sat back in her chair, exhausted. That took courage, Tay said. That might have been the end of my career. Or the beginning of something much bigger. Dr. Yoon smiled. You planted a seed in their minds. That is how change starts. One small seed of doubt, one question that makes them think. You asked, what if we are wrong? That is the most powerful question in any language. Over the next 2 days, Hai interviewed many prisoners. She asked them about their experiences, their feelings, their reasons for wanting to stay. She documented everything carefully. She spoke with Captain Day, who told her about that first burger and how it made him want to live again. She spoke with Private Seok, who showed her dozens of dishes he had created. She even spoke with young soldiers who simply said they had never known happiness until they came to Earth. On her last evening before leaving, Hai requested one more thing. She asked Chef Bo to teach her how to make something simple. He taught her how to make grilled cheese sandwiches. She followed his instructions carefully. Butter the bread. The High Council has heard about the food. They are calling it contamination. They believe you are the diplomatic ship arrived exactly 30 days later, landing in the desert outside Camp Nevada. It was sleek and silver, marked with the symbols of the Velcrin Empire. From it emerged Ambassador Hai and her delegation of 20 officials. Commander Tay met them at the landing site with Dr. Yun and a security team. Hai was tall even for a Velcrin, her scales a deep green with formal markings painted in gold. She wore elaborate robes that marked her high status. Her expression was cold and disapproving. "Commander Tay," she said through her translator device, "I am Ambassador Hai. I am here to retrieve our soldiers and return them to the Empire. Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. We are prepared to discuss terms. There are no terms. You will release our people immediately. They have been held long enough. With respect, Ambassador, these are prisoners of war. The peace treaty negotiations are still ongoing. We cannot simply release them without agreement from both governments." Hai's eyes narrowed. "We have heard disturbing reports about what you have done to them. You have used some kind of chemical weapon. You have altered their minds," Tay remained calm. "We have fed them. That is all. We have given them food to keep them healthy." "Food?" Hai said the word with disgust. "You have poisoned them with substances designed to create dependency. You have corrupted their discipline and honor. This is a war crime. Perhaps you should see them for yourself before making accusations. Would you like a tour of the facility?" Hai agreed, though she made it clear she expected to find evidence of human wrongdoing. The delegation was escorted to the camp. As they entered, the sounds and smells of lunch preparation filled the air. The kitchen was making fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and corn on the cob. The prisoners were gathered in the mess hall. When they saw the delegation, some stood at attention. Others simply continued eating. Captain Day approached Ambassador Hai and gave a formal salute. "Ambassador, it is an honor." Hai looked him up and down. "Captain Day, you look different." "I am healthy, Ambassador. Well fed and rested. I see you have been eating their contaminated substances." Day hesitated. "I have been eating real food, yes." "And has it affected your judgment? Your loyalty to the Empire?" "It has affected my understanding of what is possible. I have learned that life can include more than duty and survival." Hai turned to Tay. "This is exactly what I feared. You have brainwashed them." "We have not brainwashed anyone," Dr. Yun interjected. "We have simply shown them that food can taste good, that eating can be enjoyable. Their own biology does the rest." "Enjoyment is a weakness, is it?" Tay asked. "Your soldiers are healthier now than when they arrived. They are cooperative, peaceful, and mentally stable. Before we changed the food program, they were starving themselves. We saved their lives." Hai had no response to that. She turned away and walked through the mess hall. Everywhere she looked, she saw Velcrin soldiers eating human food with obvious pleasure. Some were talking and laughing. Others were focused entirely on their meal, savoring every bite. It disgusted her. These were warriors of the Empire, reduced to creatures of appetite. They had forgotten their purpose, their honor. The humans had destroyed them without firing a shot. "I wish to speak with High Commander Wu," Hai announced. Wu was brought to a private meeting room. He looked stronger than he had in months, his scales bright and healthy. But there was something else different about him. He seemed calmer, more at peace. "Commander," Hai said formally, "what has happened here?" Wu sat down slowly. "We were defeated in battle. We became prisoners. The humans fed us their food. That is what happened. Why did you allow this? Why did you not maintain discipline?" "Because they were dying, Ambassador. Our soldiers were choosing death over dishonor. The human food gave them a reason to live. Life without honor is not worth living." "I used to believe that," Wu said quietly, "but I have had time to think here, to really think, without the Empire's constant demands and expectations. And I have realized something. The Empire taught us that pleasure is weakness, that joy is dangerous. But why? Why did they teach us that? Because it is true? No, because it keeps us obedient. A soldier who knows only duty will never question orders. But a soldier who has experienced joy might ask, why am I fighting? What am I fighting for? Is there more to existence than war?" Hai stared at him. "You have been corrupted." "I have been freed," Wu corrected. "And I am not the only one. Many of us have made a decision. We do not wish to return to the Empire. That is not your choice to make." "Actually," Commander Tay said from the doorway, "it is. Under Earth's laws, any prisoner can request political asylum. If they fear persecution in their home country, they can choose to stay here. High's face showed fury. How many? As of this morning, 1,700 prisoners have submitted formal asylum requests. The number grows daily. The ambassador stood up quickly. This is unacceptable. You are stealing our people. We are offering them a choice. That is all? They are not thinking clearly. Your food has affected their minds. Our food has shown them an alternative, Dr. Yun said. Your empire has taught them that suffering is noble. We have shown them that happiness is possible. They are choosing happiness. Hai looked between them, her anger barely controlled. I want to address all the prisoners now. An assembly was arranged in the main yard. All 15,000 prisoners gathered to hear Ambassador Hai speak. She stood on a platform, her delegation behind her. Commander Tay and his staff watched from the side. Soldiers of the Empire, Hai began, her voice amplified by speakers. I have come to bring you home. Your families miss you. Your comrades honor your service. The Empire awaits your return. There was scattered applause, but not as much as she expected. I know you have been subjected to unusual conditions here. The humans have used techniques to make you comfortable, to make you forget your duty. But this is temporary. Once you return home, you will remember who you are. You will remember your honor. Private Siak, standing in the crowd, felt his chest tighten. Return home? To the Empire where cooking was done by machines? Where food had no taste? Where his newfound passion would be considered worthless? We leave in 3 days, Hai continued. Prepare yourselves. Pack only what is necessary. You will be fed proper nutritional paste on the journey home. Your bodies will be cleansed of these foreign substances. The crowd murmured at that. Cleansed? They would be forced back to eating paste? For those who have submitted asylum requests, Hai said, her voice hardening, I urge you to reconsider. Staying on Earth means exile. You can never return home. You will never see your families again. You will be traitors to everything the Empire stands for. Is that really what you want? For food? For temporary pleasure? Siak looked around at his fellow prisoners. He saw doubt on some faces, fear on others. But he also saw determination. These were people who had tasted something real, something good. Could they really go back? That evening, Chef Bo found Siak sitting alone outside the kitchen. The alien looked troubled. You okay? Bo asked, sitting next to him. I do not know what to do, Siak admitted. If I stay here, I am a traitor. My family will disown me. I will lose everything. But if you go back, I will lose this, cooking, creating, the joy I feel when people taste my food and smile. I will go back to being nothing, doing nothing, feeling nothing. That is a hard choice. In the Empire, we are taught that the group matters more than the individual, that personal happiness is selfish. But here, I have learned that creating happiness for others through cooking is not selfish. It is generous. It is valuable. It matters. You matter, Seok. The alien looked at him. Do I? Does one person matter when millions follow different rules? Yes, Bo said firmly. You matter. Your happiness matters. And the food you create brings joy to hundreds of people every day. That matters too. Seok was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I want to stay. I want to learn more. I want to become a real chef. But I am afraid. Being afraid is okay. Staying anyway, that is courage. The next morning, Seok submitted his asylum request officially. He was not alone. By noon, the number had grown to 3,000 prisoners requesting to stay on Earth. By evening, it was 4,000. Ambassador Hai was furious. She demanded a meeting with Commander Tay immediately. You have done this, she accused. You have manipulated them. We have fed them, Tay replied calmly. Nothing more. They are making their own choices. They are making foolish choices based on addiction. Dr. Yun stepped forward with a tablet. Ambassador, I have medical data here. Brain scans, psychological evaluations, physical health metrics. These prisoners are healthier and happier than the average Velcrin citizen. They are not addicted. They are thriving. Happiness is not health. Actually, it is. Happy people live longer, have stronger immune systems, and handle stress better. Your empire has denied your people basic joys. That is not honor. That is cruelty. Hai looked at the data despite herself. The charts and graphs showed clear improvements in every measurable way. The prisoners were objectively better off than they had been in the empire. This is still wrong, she insisted, but her voice was quieter now. Why? Tay asked. Why is it wrong for people to be happy? Why is it wrong for them to enjoy eating? Why does your empire fear joy so much? 3 weeks after the first burger, Camp Nevada faced a new crisis. But this time the problem was not that prisoners refused to eat. The problem was that they wanted too much. Lieutenant Na sat in her office, surrounded by supply requests and budget reports. The numbers made her head hurt. The camp's food costs had increased by 400%. Prisoners were eating 3 full meals a day plus snacks. Some requested seconds and thirds. They wanted to try everything. "We cannot keep up with this," she told Commander Tay during their morning meeting. "The budget is exploding. We are ordering from every restaurant within 50 miles. Fast food chains are delivering hundreds of meals daily. This was supposed to be a military camp, not a buffet." Tay understood her frustration, but he also saw the bigger picture. The prisoners are healthy and cooperative. There have been 0 incidents in 3 weeks. Before the food program, we had fights every day. Now they just want to know what is for dinner. "But sir, at this rate we will run out of funds by next month. Then we request more funds. This is working, nah. We cannot stop now." What Tay did not know was that word had spread beyond the camp. The Velcrin Empire had spies and informants. Reports were reaching their homeworld about what was happening in the prison camps. The High Council was hearing disturbing news. Their proud warriors were becoming obsessed with human food. At the camp, Private Seok spent every free hour in the kitchen with Chef Bo. The alien had a natural talent for cooking. His enhanced senses allowed him to detect flavors humans could barely notice. He could tell when soup needed more salt with a single sniff. He knew when meat was perfectly cooked just by looking at it. "You are a natural," Bo told him one afternoon. "You understand food instinctively." "I never knew this existed," Seok replied, carefully stirring a pot of sauce. "In the Empire, this work would be considered beneath a soldier. But here I feel purpose. Is that the right word?" "Yes, that is exactly right. Cooking gives purpose. You are creating something that brings happiness to others." Seok had an idea. "Can I try something? Can I create a new dish?" "Of course." "What do you want to make?" The alien thought carefully. "On our supply ships, we brought some plants from our home world for emergency rations. They are nutritious but tasteless like all our food. But what if I prepared them using human methods? Seasoning, cooking techniques. Could I make them taste good?" Bo smiled. "Let's find out." They retrieved some of the Velcrin plants from storage. They looked like purple leafy vegetables similar to Earth's kale. Sok washed them carefully, then began experimenting. He tried different seasonings, different cooking methods. Bo guided him, teaching him how to balance flavors. After 2 hours of work, Seok had created something new. A stir-fried dish with the Velcrin greens, garlic, ginger, soy sauce, and a touch of chili oil. They plated it carefully. "Taste it," Seok said nervously. Bo took a bite. His eyebrows went up. "This is good. Really good. The greens have a natural bitterness that works perfectly with the savory flavors." "Seok, you just invented fusion cuisine." "Fusion?" "Combining foods from different cultures to create something new. This is Velcrin human fusion." They served the dish in the mess hall that evening as a side option. The reaction was explosive. Velcrin prisoners lined up to try food made from plants from their homeworld, but prepared the human way. They tasted something familiar and new at the same time. Captain Day tried it and immediately asked for the recipe. "This is incredible. This is our food, but better. So much better." High Commander Wu ate it in silence. When he finished, he called for Seok to come to his table. The private approached nervously, unsure what to expect from the old commander. "You made this?" Wu asked. "Yes, Commander. I have eaten this plant my entire life. Always as paste, always tasteless. I thought that was simply how it was." Wu looked down at his empty plate. "You have shown me that we were eating incorrectly. We had good food all along, but we never learned how to prepare it properly." "The humans taught me," Seok said. "They understand something we do not." "Yes," Wu said quietly. "They understand joy." Word of Seok's dish spread through the camp instantly. Other prisoners wanted to learn to cook. They asked the guards to arrange lessons. Chef Bo found himself teaching classes to groups of aliens who had never held a kitchen knife in their lives. The kitchen became the most popular place in the camp. Prisoners volunteered to help with food preparation. They wanted to learn, to create, to understand this human art. Bo taught them everything: how to chop vegetables, how to season meat, how to bake bread. Private Seok became the star student. He created new dishes every day, combining Velcrin ingredients with human techniques. He made spicy tacos with Velcrin protein. He created soups that mixed earth vegetables with alien spices. Everything he made was different, creative, and delicious. Other prisoners started calling themselves the Flavor Guild. About 200 aliens spent their days learning to cook under Bo and Seok's guidance. They wore kitchen aprons over their prison uniforms. They took pride in their work, but not everyone was happy about these changes. The real crisis began on a Thursday afternoon. A supply truck broke down 50 miles from camp. The backup truck had an accident. The third delivery got delayed by a storm. Dinner was supposed to be served at 5 o'clock. By 4:30, the kitchen still had no supplies. Lieutenant Na made the announcement over the intercom. Attention all prisoners. Due to supply issues, dinner will be delayed by approximately 2 hours. We apologize for the inconvenience. At first there was silence, then murmuring, then angry voices. In Block C, prisoners gathered near the fence. 2 hours? One shouted. I am hungry now. They promised us food, another said. 3 meals a day. That was the agreement. In Block A, High Commander Wu watched as his soldiers became agitated. He had seen this before in the early days of the war. Hungry soldiers become angry soldiers. But this was different. These soldiers were not hungry for nutrition. They were craving flavor, taste, the pleasure of eating. That was more dangerous. By 5 o'clock, hundreds of prisoners had gathered near the mess hall. They were not violent, not yet. But they were demanding. They wanted their food. They wanted it now. The guards grew nervous. Commander Tay arrived at the scene quickly. Dr. Yun was right behind him. This is bad, she said. They have become dependent. Psychologically, they need the food now, not just physically. I can see that, Tay replied, watching the growing crowd. We need a solution fast. Lieutenant Na ran up to them. Sir, I have an idea. It is expensive, but it might work. Tell me. There are 17 pizzerias within driving distance. If we call all of them right now and order everything they can make in the next hour, we might have enough food to feed everyone. Do it. Order from everywhere. I do not care what it costs. I made the calls. Within minutes, every pizza place in the area was working at full capacity. Delivery drivers were hired on the spot. The camp offered to pay double the normal price for rush delivery. Tay walked to the fence and addressed the crowd using the translator. I understand you are hungry. I understand you are frustrated. Food is coming. I give you my word. Within 1 hour, we will have pizza for everyone. Lots of pizza. Please be patient. What kind of pizza? Someone in the crowd asked. Every kind. Pepperoni, cheese, vegetables, meat lovers, everything. The crowd calmed slightly. Pizza was popular among the prisoners. Many considered it the best human food they had tried. True to his word, within an hour, delivery trucks began arriving. They brought hundreds of pizza boxes. The smell filled the entire camp. Guards distributed the boxes quickly, making sure every prisoner got food. Captain Day received his pizza and opened the box. Inside were 8 slices of pepperoni pizza, cheese bubbling, grease glistening. He took a bite and felt instant relief. The hunger, the craving, the need for taste, all of it satisfied. Around him, other prisoners were doing the same. The tension melted away. By the time everyone had eaten, the crisis was over. But Tay knew they had a serious problem. That night, he met with his senior staff. We have created a dependency, he said. These prisoners are not just eating for survival anymore. They need the food emotionally. They crave it. Is that a bad thing? Dr. Yun asked. They are happy, healthy, and cooperative. It is a powerful thing, Tay corrected. And we need to understand what it means. Dr. Yun pulled out her latest research. I have been studying their brain chemistry. When they eat flavorful food, their brains release chemicals that make them feel good. Their species evolved on a harsh world where survival was the only priority. They never developed a food culture because they never had time to enjoy anything. But now that they have experienced pleasure from eating, their brains want more. They are making up for millions of years of evolution in a few weeks. So we have accidentally addicted 15,000 aliens to pizza and burgers. In a way, yes. But it is not a harmful addiction. It is teaching them that life can include joy, not just survival. High Commander Wu appeared at the office door. May I speak with you? Tay nodded. Of course, Commander. Come in. Wu entered slowly. He looked different than he had weeks ago. healthier but also troubled. I need to tell you something. The Empire knows what is happening here. How? We have ways, signals, communications you have not detected. News traveled fast through the prison camp. By the next morning, every Velcrin prisoner had heard about Captain Day and the strange human food. Some thought it was a trick. Others thought Day had gone crazy. But everyone was curious. Dr. Yun checked on Day early the next day. She found him sitting up, looking stronger already. His scales had regained some of their shine. Most importantly, he was alive and alert. How do you feel? She asked through the translator. Different, Day replied. I slept well for the first time since capture. My body feels energized. That's because you finally ate something. Your body was shutting down. I want to understand, Day said, leaning forward. Why do humans make food taste like that? Why add flavor if nutrition is all that matters? Dr. Yun smiled. Because eating is one of life's pleasures. Humans don't just eat to survive. We eat to enjoy, to celebrate, to connect with others. Food brings us together. It makes us happy. Happy? Day tested the word. From eating? Yes, haven't you ever enjoyed anything? Music, art, time with friends? Those are distractions, weaknesses. The Empire teaches that pleasure makes warriors soft. We exist to serve and fight. Nothing more. Dr. Yun felt sad hearing this. That sounds like a very hard way to live. It is the only way I know. By noon, Commander Tay had made a decision. If this was going to work, they needed to scale it up. He called a meeting with his staff. We're changing the meal program, he announced. Starting today, all prisoners get human food. Real meals 3 times a day. Lieutenant Na, the supply officer, nearly dropped her coffee. Sir, that's 15,000 aliens. Do you know how much food that is? How much it will cost? I don't care about the cost. I care about keeping them alive. Besides, if this works, it might actually save money. Dead prisoners cost more than fed ones. What should we serve them? Asked one of the kitchen staff. Everything. Rotate the menu. Burgers one day, pizza the next. Fried chicken, tacos, pasta. Let them taste different things. Let them discover what they like. Some of them won't eat it, Na said. The hardliners. The ones who still believe in the old ways. That's their choice. But offer it to everyone. Let them decide. The first mass meal was lunch that same day. The kitchen staff worked frantically to prepare food for thousands. They made simple things. Grilled cheese sandwiches, tomato soup, and apple slices. Basic American comfort food. The guards brought the food to each cell block. The reactions were mixed. Some prisoners refused to even look at it. Others watched their neighbors carefully, waiting to see what would happen. A few, encouraged by Captain Day's survival, reached for the food immediately. In Block C, a young soldier named Rin took a bite of grilled cheese. His hand flew to his mouth. His eyes went wide. By the ancestors, he whispered. It's real. Day spoke the truth. His cellmate Gon grabbed his own sandwich and bit into it. The melted cheese stretched between the bread and his mouth. This is... He couldn't find words. He just kept eating. Within minutes, half the prisoners in Block C were eating. The sound of their reactions echoed through the building. Gasps. Exclamations in their own language. Some made sounds of joy they probably hadn't made since childhood. But not everyone joined in. In Block A, High Commander Wu watched his soldiers eat with disgust on his face. Wu was old, decorated, and completely loyal to the Empire's teachings. He saw the food as a poison, something that would corrupt his warriors. Stop, he commanded in a loud voice. All of you stop eating that substance. Some soldiers put down their food immediately. Others hesitated, looking between Wu and their sandwiches. A few kept eating, unable to stop. This is how they defeat us, Wu said, standing up. Not with weapons, but with weakness. They make us dependent on pleasure. They make us forget our honor. With respect, Commander, one soldier said quietly. I have not eaten in 7 days. My honor cannot sustain me if I am dead. Then die with dignity, Wu snapped. Do not let them turn you into soft, weak creatures who live only for sensation. The soldier looked at his sandwich. Then slowly he took another bite. Forgive me, Commander, but I choose to live. Others followed. One by one, the soldiers in Block A began eating, even under Wu's angry glare. The High Commander stood alone, arms crossed, refusing to touch the food. But he was losing his followers. Dr. Yun monitored the health readings from all blocks. The results were remarkable. Within 24 hours, the prisoners who ate showed improved vital signs. Their energy levels increased. Even their mental states seemed better. The medical scanner showed their brains releasing chemicals similar to human happiness hormones. "It's working," she told Tay that evening. "The food isn't just feeding them. It's healing them psychologically. They're experiencing positive emotions maybe for the first time in their lives." "How many are eating?" "About 60%. The number grows every hour." Word spreads fast when people see their friends getting healthier and happier. What about the holdouts? Led by High Commander Wu. He's convinced this is some kind of trap. About 30% follow his orders and refuse to eat. The rest are undecided, Tay nodded. "Keep monitoring. Let them make their own choices." "We can't force this." Over the next week, the camp transformed. The kitchen started getting creative. Chef Bo, a civilian contractor who ran the main kitchen, began experimenting. He was Korean American, and he knew how to cook food that satisfied. He introduced the prisoners to fried chicken with honey butter, to beef stew with soft bread, to chocolate chip cookies for dessert. Each new food caused reactions that ranged from shock to pure joy. Private Seok, a low-ranking Velkran soldier, became fascinated by the food preparation process. He watched through the fence as the kitchen staff worked. He asked questions through the guards. "How do you make the bread soft? Why do you add spices? What makes the chicken crispy?" Chef Bo noticed the curious alien. One day, he asked the guards to bring Seok to the kitchen under supervision. The alien stood in the doorway, his eyes scanning everything. The stoves, the pots, the ingredients lined up on shelves. "You want to learn?" Bo asked through the translator. Seok nodded slowly. "I want to understand. In the Empire, food preparation is done by machines. Nutritional paste is created in factories. This," he gestured around the kitchen, "this is art. Cooking is art." Bo agreed. "But it's also love. We cook to make people happy." "Happy," Seok repeated. "I am learning this word. I think I felt it yesterday when I ate the soup." "Is that happiness?" "That warm feeling inside?" Bo smiled. "Yeah, that's happiness. And you can create that feeling for others through cooking. Can you teach me?" Bo looked at the alien soldier. He saw genuine curiosity, a desire to learn. "Yeah," he said. "I can teach you." Meanwhile, the situation with High Commander Wu grew more tense. He had lost most of his followers. Only about 2,000 prisoners still refused the human food. But Wu was stubborn. He would rather die than give in. Captain Day visited Wu one evening. The two had served together for years. Day respected the older commander, but he also knew Wu was being foolish. "You look terrible, old friend," Day said, sitting across from Wu. "I look like a warrior should," Wu replied. His scales were dull, his movements slow. "You look like you have given up." "I look healthy because I eat. There is no honor in starving. There is no honor in submission. Is eating submission? Is living submission?" Day leaned forward. "The humans defeated us in battle. That is done. But they are not trying to humiliate us now. They are trying to show us something we never knew existed. Pleasure is weakness." "No." Day shook his head. "That is what the Empire taught us." "But why? Why did they teach us that?" "Because pleasure makes us question. It makes us think. It makes us realize there is more to life than war and duty." Wu was silent for a moment. "If I eat their food, what am I saying?" "That they were right to defeat us. You are saying you choose life over death. You are saying you are curious about what else you do not know. The war is over, Wu. We lost. But we are still alive. We can learn new things. We can grow, or we can sit here and die for nothing." The old commander looked away.
"I am tired, Day. So tired. Then rest. Eat. Let your body heal."
"Tomorrow think about honor. Today just survive." That night, High Commander Wu ate his first human meal. It was simple: chicken noodle soup and crackers. When the first spoonful touched his tongue, he closed his eyes. A single tear rolled down his scaled face. The guards reported it immediately. By morning, the news had spread. If High Commander Wu could eat the human food, anyone could. The last holdouts began accepting meals. Within 3 days, nearly every prisoner in Camp Nevada was eating regularly. Dr. Yun updated her reports. The crisis was over. The prisoners were stable, healthy, and no longer trying to die. But something else was happening, something she had not expected. They were smiling. She saw it more each day. Aliens who had been depressed and silent now talked with each other, sharing reactions to different foods. They laughed. They showed excitement. They were discovering joy, and once you discover joy, everything changes. The Nevada desert stretched endlessly in every direction. The sun beat down on the newly built prison camp, its metal fences gleaming in the harsh light. Inside those fences sat 15,000 alien soldiers who never expected to be prisoners. They expected to win. Commander Tay walked through the main gate, his boots crunching on the gravel. He carried a folder full of reports, but none of them told him what he really needed to know. How do you handle prisoners from another planet? What do they eat? What do they think? How do you keep them alive when they want to die? The war had ended 3 months ago. Earth won, but nobody really understood how. The Velcrin Empire came with bigger ships and better weapons. They thought humans would surrender in days. They were wrong. Humans were stubborn, creative, and refused to give up. After 6 months of fighting, the Velcrin fleet retreated. Thousands of their soldiers were left behind, captured. Now those soldiers sat in camps across America. This camp, Camp Nevada, held the most prisoners. Tay was in charge of keeping them healthy and safe until the governments figured out what to do next. The aliens looked like walking lizards, standing on 2 legs like humans. They had tough, scaly skin in shades of green and gray. Their eyes were large and yellow with vertical pupils. They wore the remains of their military uniforms, now dirty and torn. Most of them sat in groups, silent and still. Some stared at nothing. Others looked at the human guards with hatred in their eyes. Tay stopped at the medical building. Inside, Dr. Yun was studying scan results on her computer. She looked tired. The past weeks had been hard on everyone. How are they doing? Tay asked. Dr. Yun shook her head. Not good. 70% are refusing to eat. Now they're getting weaker every day. If this continues, we'll start losing them. Have you figured out what they can eat safely? Yes, that's the strange part. Dr. Yun pulled up a chart on her screen. Their biology is surprisingly similar to ours. They can eat most of what we eat. Meat, vegetables, grains, even dairy. Their digestive system processes it just fine. Then why won't they eat? Pride. Dr. Yun closed her laptop. In their culture, being captured means complete failure. Some of them think they should die rather than live with that shame. Tay rubbed his face. He had dealt with difficult prisoners before, but this was different. These weren't humans who understood the rules of war and surrender. These were aliens with completely different ideas about honor and death. What about their regular food? He asked. The supplies we captured from their ships? We've been giving it to them. It's this gray paste, looks like cement. I tested it. It has everything they need nutritionally, but... Dr. Yun made a face. It has no taste at all, zero. It's like eating cardboard. They eat that on purpose? Apparently. From what I've learned, the Velcrin don't care about taste. Food is just fuel to them. They eat to survive, nothing more. The idea of enjoying food doesn't exist in their culture. Tay thought about his breakfast that morning. Fresh eggs, crispy bacon, toast with butter, coffee with cream. He tried to imagine eating flavorless paste instead. He couldn't. We need to do something, he said. If they starve themselves, we fail. If they die, the peace talks fall apart. We need them alive and healthy. I know, Dr. Yun said. But how do you force someone to eat when they've decided to die? Tay had an idea. It was crazy, but maybe crazy was what they needed. What if we give them our food, real food? Not their paste, Dr. Yun looked surprised. Like what? Like what we eat, burgers, pizza, real meals with actual flavor. You want to introduce alien prisoners to American fast food? Why not? You said they can eat it safely. Maybe if they taste something good, something worth living for, they'll change their minds about dying. Dr. Yun considered this. It might work. Their taste receptors are actually more sensitive than ours. If they can taste it all, they'll taste it strongly. Let's try it. Who's the highest-ranking prisoner? Captain Day. He was a company commander. Very proud, very stubborn. He hasn't eaten in 6 days. Perfect. Let's start with him. An hour later, Tay stood outside Captain Day's cell. The alien sat on his bunk staring at the wall. He looked thin. His scales had lost their shine, but his eyes still burned with defiance when he looked at Tay. Tay carried a tray. On it sat a cheeseburger from the base kitchen, a pile of French fries, and a cold Coca-Cola in a glass bottle. The smell filled the small room. Captain Day, Tay said through the translator device. I brought you lunch. The alien's eyes moved to the tray, then back to Tay's face. I do not eat. I know. You're choosing to die. I respect that choice. Tay set the tray on the small table. But let me ask you something. Is dying slowly from hunger an honorable death? Wouldn't a warrior prefer to die in battle? Day's jaw tightened. I have no honor left. I was captured. You fought well. Your squad held their position for 3 days against superior numbers. That's not shameful. That's brave. You know nothing of our ways. You're right. I don't. Tay picked up the burger. But I know about food. In my culture, sharing a meal means trust. It means we see each other as equals, not enemies. He took a bite of the burger, chewing slowly. This is what humans eat. Try it. If you still want to die after, at least you'll know what you're missing. Day stared at the burger. What is it? Meat, bread, cheese, vegetables. Simple food. Good food. Why does it smell? Because it has flavor, taste, something your paste doesn't have. The alien was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he reached out and picked up the burger. It looked small in his clawed hands. He brought it to his face and sniffed. His eyes widened slightly. It will not kill me. No, I promise. Captain Day took a small bite. He chewed slowly. Then he stopped moving completely. His eyes went wide. His mouth opened slightly. He took another bite, bigger this time. Then another. Within 2 minutes, he had eaten half the burger. He looked at Tay with an expression that might have been shock. What is this? A cheeseburger. Why does it? How does it? Tay struggled to find words. My mouth is experiencing sensations, many sensations, all at once. That's called taste. Flavor. Day finished the burger and grabbed the fries. He ate them quickly, one after another. Then he saw the Coca-Cola. He picked up the bottle carefully as if it might explode. What is this liquid? A drink. A sweet drink. We call it Coca-Cola. Day took a small sip. His whole body shuddered. He made a sound, something between a gasp and a growl. It burns. It is sweet, it is cold. How can one thing be all of these? That's carbonation, bubbles. Most humans love it. The alien drank more, then more. He finished the entire bottle in less than a minute. When he was done, he set the bottle down carefully and looked at Tay. Is this normal for humans? You eat like this every day? Pretty much. Sometimes better, sometimes simpler. But yes, we eat food that tastes good. Captain Day sat back on his bunk. He looked confused, overwhelmed. I have served in the military for 20 cycles. I have eaten nutritional paste every day of my life. I never knew food could be different. Now you know. Is this a trick? A weapon? Something to control our minds? Tay smiled. No trick. It's just lunch. This is what we eat on a regular Friday. The alien was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke again, his voice softer. Can I have more? Tay's smile grew wider. Yes, Captain. You can have more. As he left the cell, Tay knew something important had just happened. They hadn't just fed a prisoner. They had shown him something his whole civilization had never discovered. And once you taste something that good, you can't forget it. You can't go back. The war might be over, but the real victory was just beginning.